All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Shane Hegde. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at AIR, and I'm thrilled to have all of you here for our second show and tell. Big thanks to Meg McLaughlin, who on our team has planned the big experience today. She'll be in the comments, so if you have any questions, she'll be the one likely to follow up and respond. And then a massive thank you to Meredith Weiss, who is with us today. We met Meredith through the interwebs. She signed up for our product and has been a fantastic user that has provided insights to us across the business. Before we get started, I just wanted to hop in and for those of you who are new here, just introduce what it is we do at AIR, just for all the new folks in the audience. So I'll dive in on just a few slides and then we will kick it over to Meg and Meredith. Let me just share my screen here. Maybe that worked. There it goes. Cool. So we started AIR about 5 years ago. My co-founder, Tyler Strand, is on the call as well. And when we started this business, our belief was basically that every company around the globe was becoming a media company. And we believe that because regardless of what industry they were in, there were so many different stakeholders and team members that needed to work with images and videos, and so many different tools where images and videos needed to go. And so if every company was going to become a media company, we thought they really needed an engine to drive the creative process. And at AIR, we call our engine a creative operations system. Functionally, we try to work with folks like Meredith, who unfortunately have been sucked into the miserable parts of the creative process where they need to coordinate an external photography shoot or collect feedback from a bunch of different stakeholders around what asset to use or which one to select for an ad campaign. And because of all of that manual work, it takes them away from the magic and the fun of creativity. And so our hope at AIR is to really solve the problems for this individual so they can return back to the work that matters. This problem has come up because, again, the need for images and videos is scaling exponentially around organizations today. And unfortunately, we all just have two hands. And so the amount of manual work we can do is finite. And any time in software, in the history of software, where this kind of problem has emerged, where the need for something to get done is outstripping our ability to do it manually, automation has emerged to really support that. And so at our core, that's what we try to do. We try to automate a lot of the logistics around the creative process and make those logistics, dare I say it, fun and less boring, to make those selects or to coordinate with an external photographer or to manage the expiration dates or where things stand in the creative process. So I will pause there because you're going to learn a lot more about our product from Meg and Meredith, and I will pass it to them.
We are so excited to have you here today and everyone attending, and even more excited to have Meredith here. I'm going to read about some of Meredith's credentials. She's got an extensive list of them, so I'm just going to briefly go over who we have as our guest here today. Ms. Weiss is a board-certified physical therapist with over 25 years of clinical experience in outpatient orthopedics and the fitness and wellness industries. She's also a comprehensive Pilates teacher, certified yoga teacher, and yoga therapist. She has a background in psychology and neuroscience from Vanderbilt University. So this makes her the only person in the world to hold a unique combination of knowledge and depth of experience in the fields of Scroth physiotherapy, yoga, and Pilates. Huge. She's 1 in 6 billion. She is also the founder and owner of both Kioko and Physiolutions. While Kioko remains a brick and mortar studio for one-on-one patient care, Meredith also created Physiolutions in 2021 as an online educational and exercise platform. And this was created for the public, for healthcare professionals, and yoga and Pilates teachers to inspire them to learn more about optimizing their approach to spine health. We love women in STEM, and Meredith is doing it all from medicine to technology to being a business owner. She's doing everything, and she's doing it all in air. So Meredith, why don't you go ahead and take it away? Why don't you give us a little bit more insight into your role and what you do on a day-to-day basis with your content?
Hi, thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, Shane, Meg, Ari, for having me. As we were talking just before this began, I was thanking Shane, who I hadn't met before, for creating this product, and Tyler too, because this product not only revolutionized my business, it allowed me to make my business and my services available in a whole new site. As Meg mentioned, I'm a physical therapist. I am also a certified Pilates teacher. I'm also an advanced certified yoga teacher, and I specialize in the Schroth method for scoliosis. So I have a very, very, very niche area, and the majority of my patients, I'd say probably 90 to 95% of my patients that I treat here in the clinic have issues with spine and scoliosis. But I get so many requests through Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, online, with people asking questions. How do I modify this yoga pose if I have a scoliosis? How do I do this differently in Pilates if I have a scoliosis? What's safe? What's not safe? So on and so forth. That around the time of, midst of the pandemic, I decided to, when my days weren't already busy enough, let's just start another business. And so in 2020, 2021, I created Physiolutions, which is my it's my digital platform for neutral spine and scoliosis specific exercises and education. And as I ventured, big venture in bold letters, to create this website while still being full-time clinician and running the clinic and mom of 2 teenagers getting ready to apply to college and all that kind of fun stuff, air to the rescue, because the other online services to store information that I needed to get over to the website agency, it was a struggle for me. And if something's not easy for me, it just doesn't happen. And it's the same thing with my patients. If their home exercises are not easy, if accessing those pictures, they're not going to do it. I think we all know that Amazon has changed our world. If I'm allowed to mention those names, Amazon has changed our world in that, we want things to be easy. We need things to be easy in this day and age. And really thank you to Ari, Meg, Shane, and Tyler for making sharing information easy and accessible. So I'm going to do a little show and tell. Fridays when I was younger, because I'm older than I look, thank goodness, but Fridays used to be show and tell in grade school, and here they are again. So I will let you into my Air Drive, and
we're off to a great start, Meredith. What high praise before we're even into your workspace?
Oh, thanks. Well, I don't know. Let me finish and then you can give me high praise. All right. Can everyone see this so far? Can everyone see my screen or my Air Drive?
Yep.
We're looking good.
Okay, great. So in my Air Drive, I created both Kioko and Physiolutions. And as I mentioned, Kioko is the brick and mortar clinic. And then I created Physiolutions, which we would be building an entirely new website. And so I created the Physiolutions board. Air made it very easy for me just to create a board and then sub boards within it. So for a person like me who has 5 million ideas, all of which are equally exciting and interesting, and I have 5,000 pieces of paper where I write things down, Air allowed me to create subboards. So if I think of an idea for something, I can create a board. So I still have these quizzes to do, but for example, I created this subboard within the Physiolutions website. And as I thought of different titles for different quizzes that I want to include on my website, I could just make a subboard and type the name of it and then be able to come back to it later. So I don't have to remember which pad of paper I wrote the idea on or the name of a particular quiz. So it's great for harnessing and collecting not only digital media and, recordings and so forth, but also being able to collate and bring ideas together so I can come back to them and complete things. So within the Physiolutions board, I created these subboards, such as my copy, inner pages, photos for menu items, YouTube thumbnails, things that we were going to do for freebies on the website. They wanted my bio and CV, and so on and so forth. And then the beauty, what I love about this is within each of these boards, there are subboards. So within the copy and inner pages, I could create subboards within this for each of the interior pages of the website. So I, made this Spine School page for them. On the Learn page, I created this subboard. So if I was to click on this, on Learn, then it breaks it up into all of these different, into these individual subboards. And inside of here, I can put, the photos, the copy, anything I need to. And what's great is if I wanted to share with my agency, I can easily do that. So I can click these little buttons, I can control it from there, but then also I can share it up here in this upper right-hand corner where I would click share. I can share a link and I can click advanced settings. I can set a passcode. I can change that. I can set an expiration date. And so now what's really great is, and I'll go back and I'll change those codes. I'll change those passwords and so forth. But what's really great is I can easily share it with the website agency. I can share it with my virtual assistants. I can share it with the photographer. So they have access to it for only however long I want them to. And that's a really, really great thing. So, bunches of different pages.
I'm happy to blur that password at the recording as well, Meredith.
Thanks. And, it even started out as, early on, the site architecture. So, we uploaded the site architecture, some ideas for our tagline and so forth. And if I wanted to, I can also customize the order in which each of these boards presents themselves. So right over here on the right side where it says date modified, I can do a custom sort. I could click on that. And if I wanted to move YouTube thumbnails to the very beginning, I could just slide that over. I look for this little purple thing, and then it's there. And then I've learned I have to click Save View in order for it to save it. It doesn't automatically do it. If I decide I want to move it back, I could just move it back. And so all of this was just really great because I could just let the agency know, okay, I've uploaded, XYZ into YouTube thumbnails, or I've added another freebie in, so they could go into that subboard and do that. And the final product, let's see, this is the final product of the Physiolutions website. So the tagline, when we talked about experience your grace, your strength, your curiosity, your brilliance. Yes.
At the top of your screen, you should see share this tab instead.
Yes. Thank you.
There's the website. Gorgeous.
Yes. So this is the final product. So from that subboard of site architecture, when we were exploring different taglines and ideas, and we talked about experience, your resilience, your breath, your brilliance, your grace, your strength, all of those different things, that all came together here. And then we scroll down, and all of the copy, all of the pictures, they kind of all just come together really, really nicely. And, so I can scroll down, you all can have a look on your own. But one of the really great things that for me as a creative that is so valuable is Air has such an easy way for me to put photos, videos, audio recordings, which is so much of what I do, in that platform, and I can share it with my virtual assistants so they can, edit it appropriately and then, put the finalized product back in. So if I'm doing a webinar, we can put the pictures, all that information in there so they can go in and do all of that. And this is all just on the home page and so forth. So like for the freebies example, so get started here for free. So people can click explore all the options and they can choose which freebie they want, blah, blah, blah. And the website agency had access to each of those freebies because each of those PDFs or the link to where we had the breath connection videos, those were in air. So they could just grab that and put that in.
That's so smart to mirror your setup in air in the same structure as the boards or the pages in your website. So people know exactly where things are on the website because it matches where it is in air.
It made it fantastic. And so if I was to go to shop, for example, and in shop, one of many of the things that I worked on over the past 2 years, which was a lot, but really it was very exciting. It was very important to me. One thing was this ebook. We called it Save Our Spines. So, you know, both as a physical therapist, but then especially as a physical therapist who specializes in spine health, I get lots and the same questions over and over, and they're important and they're great questions. You know, what pillow should I use? How do I stand at the kitchen counter for 5 hours to cook Thanksgiving dinner? What chair? That's huge. What chair do I use, or how should I sit, and so forth. So I started by taking like 20 of the most common questions, and I put it together in an ebook. And so we were able to put the ebook together, put it up in the shop, and it is now stored. If I click back to my AirDrive and I go to products and ebooks. So I created my own board for that because this product and ebook can be shared in multiple places. I didn't want it to live just in the Physiolutions board because, you know, as we work to get it on Amazon, as I work to put it on my Kioko site and so forth, I didn't want it to live just within the Physiolutions board. So we created, you know, its own separate board. And the ADL, which is Activities of Daily Living, the ebook. And Air allows things to be stored in so many different formats, whether it's a PDF, a PNG, PowerPoint, different things like that. So if I click on this PDF, it takes a minute for it to upload. And then you'll get a little sneak peek to it. So if I need to, you know, download this and send this to my virtual assistant, if I need to send it to a physician, different things like that. You know, if patients don't have access, or, you know, customers, the public don't have access to this, you know, when they're buying it, they're getting it from the shop, but I can keep the most updated copy here in my AirDrive. And whenever I need it, I can just go to it and it's right there. I can access it from anywhere, which is phenomenal. I don't have to be, you know, logged into, you know, Canva or something like that. And, you know, it's easy to share the link with lots of different people. So this is the chair that I'm using and how perching is preferred to sitting. You know, people who have back pain and tight hip flexors and tight hips, it's a big, big, big question. So I took 20 of the most common things and put it together in a book, and there we go. If I need a download,
I'm going to have to get more information about that chair, Meredith. We were talking about it before the event even started, and now I'm seeing it in your book. It's got to be great.
So Air was really good for that too, because in the shop, like if people have questions, I was able to create a board in Air for the website agency to be able to link things to Amazon. So right there it goes.
And with such large files like this, it's really helpful to not have to keep a large file in multiple places and taking up storage.
Huge.
It just has to be in one place.
Huge. Absolutely. Wait, let me go. Oh, I need to share back to the other tab. So I'm back on the website, and yeah, there's there's the chair there. It's huge because when we were developing the Kioko website back in 2015, Air wasn't around then. It was a completely different experience in that the graphic designer, the website developer, and I, it was email back and forth. I would write copy, I would email it to her, I would email pictures back and forth. Things got, not that they necessarily got lost, but they get lost in these long threads. And finding where's the copy that I sent, I know that I sent the copy on November 10th, but no one could find it. And this way I type it, I, upload whatever draft, whatever format it's in, whether it's Word, Pages, PDF, whatever, I upload it into Air, and, it's always there whenever I want to update it. I delete the old one and I upload the new one. So let me go back to
Meredith, could you tell us a little bit more about what life was like before Air? What other products were you using besides email that you've freed yourself from?
Yes. So there was another well-known online storage platform that many, many millions of people use, and a lot of people love it. And I'm sure millions of people still stick with it. But for me, Air was a solution in so many ways. I could, for the other platform, it was very hard. It was very clunky. It was very hard for me to, number one, access it. It was hard for me to find the files that I put in there. Like if I would create a folder within that platform, that even sometimes seemed to get lost. If I would upload a presentation, sometimes it would upload 2 or 3 times, and then I couldn't tell, well, which was the most recent one. And that for me was a huge challenge. If I needed to share pictures, it was hard for me to determine, okay, do I share the whole, how can I share the whole file, or how can I just share 1 or 2? And Air just changed all of that. If I want to share an entire subboard, if I want to just, share access to, 1 photo or 1 product within a board, it just made it so much easier to be able to do that. And, it's, for me, I'm a very visual person. I'm a very kinesthetic person. And so it helps me to be able to see all of my different ideas, all the different parts of my project in front of my eyes, because then as I see the pages, as I see the subboards and the pictures, that gives me ideas of, oh, I need this, or, oh, I should move this here or do this differently. And within the website, there's even another little sub website, the platform that I use to store all of the, not store, but to host all of the videos and educational webinars. So the website itself, Physiolutions, open public resource, lots of information. And then if people, whether it's the public, whether it's yoga Pilates teachers, whether it's healthcare professionals that want to watch one of my webinars or subscribe to neutral spine, scoliosis specific yoga Pilates classes, because with Schroth, there's very specific limitations in terms of there's no bending, there's no twisting, things like that. And so people are like, well, what kinds of exercises can I do? And there's so much that I created this website for it. And as I record videos, I made this subboard in Air called Instill, because that's the platform that I'm using to host the videos. And when I record a webinar, I put it up here in the webinar board. When I'm recording a meditation, I upload it up here in the meditation. And then each of the different categories of classes, whether it's the resilient runner and I'm doing a yoga Pilates class for runners, or if I'm doing a spine smart class for scoliosis specific, so forth, I can put it up in the yoga. Or if I'm doing a Pilates reformer class or something with the springboard, I can upload those videos into each of those boards. And I know that they're there instead of having to go through the hard drive of my computer and hope that I can still find it. So this has just been great. And all of these videos are accessible, within the website, but the final product of it is actually this one. Let's see. Can you see this one now?
Yes, I see your video playlists here.
Yes. Okay. So now what hopefully should be showing is the Instill platform that hosts all of the videos. So when people go to the website and they're like, oh, I want to do a Spine Smart mat Pilates class, they'll click on that and it takes them to this exercise educational platform where they can access all that. If they want to do a webinar and they want to learn, then the webinars are also listed at the bottom right there. We put it under Learn and Courses. So you guys can see that, right? Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot about sharing these assets out with external partners. Do you have any other members in your workspace besides yourself?
I have myself. I initially started to give access to my assistants, and then I held that off because their team grew, and I wanted to minimize the number of hands inside of my Airboard in case they, deleted something or what have you. And I just found that Air made it so easy for me to create, an expiration date, create the link, create a password, create an expiration date, and then I can just share that whole board with whoever I need without a team having access to other, maybe more personal information. Not that I have anything super personal in there, but like, for example, one of the things that we added this past year, the past few months. So my eldest is a senior in high school and applying to college. So it's like, which version of, she uses Google Docs, and which version was the latest and greatest of her essays. So I created individual boards so that we could upload her essays into into each of these boards. And that made it very easy for me to, she would write it, once it was done and it was finished, then I uploaded it here in case she ever wanted to go back and see it again.
That's great. And your team at Kioko clearly doesn't need access to that. So it's access where you want it and access where you don't. You were able to share these assets with folks who didn't even need an Air account.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about, I'm going to put your feet to the fire. What's something that you wish Air had? What's something that you go through and you think, oh, this would make it a little bit easier as someone who uses it every day?
Let's see, I'm going to switch back to Google Meet so you can see me. So you might have this and I just don't know about it, which could be entirely possible. Because my computer is a Mac and Mac uses Keynote, I would love for some of my older presentations that have been done on Keynote that I can easily upload into Air. It does PowerPoint great. I use Canva and I can download, that presentation from Canva and store it in Air. Great. But Keynote, I believe Air works with an older version of Keynote. I'm not sure if it works with the current version. So that would be on my wish list. And the other thing on my wish list is the electronic medical record platform that I use for scheduling in-person patients. That would be amazing if Air and Jane, which is the EMR that I use, if they were cousins, because then, if I'm recording a video of a patient, the videos that I record of patients are too long to put in their home exercise programs. Those things usually only allow a minute and a half. And if I'm recording a longer video for a patient, it'd be amazing if Air and Jane had an affiliation, a relationship, so that I could put a longer video in via Air, and that was able to be accessed through, the patient portal. So that would be on my wish list. And what else? I don't know at the moment. Those are the two things I think about, but it's made my life so much easier. So thank you all very, very much. It's allowed me to get so much done, because I think about how much I've done working full-time in the clinic and creating a huge website on top of it, creating videos, creating an ebook, creating also we created a web application for people to self-screen for scoliosis. So there was a lot. So if I go back into Air, let's see.
You've been a busy lady, Meredith.
Yeah, and seriously, Air has allowed me to do this, because there's no way I'd find my 500 pads of paper with all my ideas on them. And let's see, can you see inside of my Air board at the moment?
We can see it.
Okay. So one of the things, I call it the Clarity app, so that people could get clear on what they were seeing. And, in the niche area of what I do for spine and scoliosis, one of the most common things is I will have parents come in with their teens, and the parents say, I thought I saw something, but I wasn't sure. Or I took my child to the pediatrician and they said, don't worry about it. And then a year later, it became an issue where they couldn't not see it. And I found that parents and the public and even adults who question, maybe I have something, maybe, my shoulder blades aren't level, but I'm not sure. I found that the public needed a great resource to be able to access, to look at, what are the criteria, what are some signs and symptoms of some spinal asymmetry, so that they can have the right information and take that to their physical therapist, take it to their doctor, especially if they were having pain or limitation from it. So we created this web application called Clarity app, and I had a graphic designer, do some images and so forth. So we did, some body illustrations and so forth. And then as we worked through it, I had an end user license agreement, not for the public, but for other clinics that may decide that they want this web application. And, a lot of the copy and so forth is in here. And then the final product of this all together is, if I go back onto the website, on the Physiolutions site, and we go from the menu to the Schroth method page. And on the Schroth method page, down here it says self-screen for scoliosis. And this is free for the public to use. It doesn't give a diagnosis, it doesn't give a risk, but people can go on here. They can self-screen. They just click self-screen here. And let's see. Can you see this now? This the beginning of the Clarity app?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the picture that we saw in the Air board, here it is at the beginning of the Clarity app. And it begins with, here are some key steps to prep.
And then all of that copy, all of these assets are in your Air board.
Exactly. So what I was just showing a few moments ago, all these different body illustrations, we had the illustrations in there. I had, the copy in a separate subboard, and it's just it's an online tool that allows people to go through 15 simple steps of looking at, whether it's themselves or whether it's their child or a loved one, to determine, is there a spinal asymmetry that, we need to look into further. Observe the individual standing, And are the hips shifted to the left? Are they shifted to the right? Are they centered? And they just click on, whatever they see. So here the hips are shifted left. They would click on left. The trunk, is the trunk more to the left? Is it more to the right? Or is it centered over the pelvis? And in here in this image, this person's trunk is to the right. So they would click right, and they would go through each of these 15 questions. And at the end, it just gives them a summary. And they can print that summary out and bring it to their physician or their physical therapist, or if a particular clinic integrates this web application within their within their website, it allows the person who's using it to, hit a call to action button to request an in-person evaluation. So, so that's,
you're really out there helping people, Meredith.
that's that. And
that's so wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us a tour of your workspace. I'm going to open the floor up to questions from our attendees, if that's all right with you. Meredith?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, great. Great. It looks like we've already got one from Kayla in the chat here, and it just said she wants to see all assets in subfolders from the main folder level. So could you show us in the sidebar by unnesting your subboards?
Let's see. Wait a second. I need to go back for a second.
Share your screen again.
Yeah. Wait a second. I need to go back there and okay.
And if anybody else has any questions, drop them in the chat or raise your hand down at the bottom where the tools are.
Okay. So can you can see inside of my board?
Yeah. So we're looking over here at the sidebar.
And so here are all of the boards. And then say, for example, if I wanted to click Lilly College Application Essays, I can open the whole board, or I can just click the little caret and it'll open, the list of those. And if I want to close it, I can close it like so. For the Clarity app, for the, self-screening tool, right now that board is open. If I wanted to close it, I can just click that caret and it closes it. If I wanted to open it again and see what was inside of it, click the caret and it's there. If I wanted to go down to Physiolutions, say I didn't want to close my Clarity app screen, but I wanted to open something in Physiolutions and see what was in it, I can do that. If I want to
clarify my question really quick, I'm sorry. I think I might have asked not quite exactly what I was asking. So we have a lot of photos. So while it might be nice to see, click the caret to see all the subfolders, I'm hoping to see all of the content of all of the subfolders. So right now, the workaround that I'm doing is I'm adding the content in every subfolder to the main folder also, which is a little tedious. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to see all the content from all the subfolders within a main folder.
Meredith, do you know how to do that?
I don't know how to do that.
Let's show you right now. Down in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see an option that says Expand Nested Items.
Okay.
Go ahead and hit that for me. There's everything that's in that board and the subboards within.
Sorry, can you do that just one more time? I missed where the button was.
Collapse it again.
I'm in
the lower left-hand corner.
Actually, right hand. So I'm in the lower right-hand corner.
Right.
Yeah.
I must be switched.
That's okay. So I'm in this lower right-hand corner where it says Expanded Nested Items, and I'm going to click that, and then I can see everything that's inside all of the boards.
Very handy. Really handy. It's a great tool, and our users use it a lot. We've got another question from Lauren in the chat. So how do you explain a share link to someone you're sending it to for the first time?
It's a good question. How do I explain a share link? I let them know I'm going to send them a link, and just like any link, I copy paste and I put it in. I put it in the email. If there's a expiration date or a password associated with that, then in the email I let the person know, below, please find the link to the Physiolutions board. please use XYZ password. And I, obviously write that. And, maybe I let them know the expiration date. Maybe I don't need to let them know that. If I am, I say, access to this, access to these assets or access to this board is valid through, January 1, 2023, something like that. And they click on it and that's it. It just takes them right there.
Seems like it's pretty straightforward. People get the idea of a share link as soon as they see it, huh?
Yeah, it's really, really easy. And it was a great question that they just had, because that was one of the things I wondered too, in terms of from a user end perspective, when I'm sharing a link with the website agency or my virtual assistant or, someone else, what is that going to look like on their end? And it's very easy. It's great.
Wonderful, Meredith. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are about at time, so this is a good place to wrap it up.
Sure.
I just want to let everyone know that this has been recorded and will be sent out early next week for you to share with your team or share with anyone you want to know more about AIR. Thank you again, Meredith.
Can I add something real quick?
Please do.
You guys were so kind to offer a discount to people for signing up, correct? And I put it here. I call it Share the Love.
Meredith has an affiliate code, so if you sign up using this link, you get a discount from Meredith.
So was it Love Air 20? And
this is good for any of our monthly plans.
Yep.
And you receive a 20% discount. So if you're interested, you can share the love. We'll also be sending that link along with the recording if you've registered for this event.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Meredith. Again, my name is Meg. Thank you for joining us here for our Show and Tell live event. Don't forget to register for our next event. We're doing one of these once a month. So come back and take a look into another real users AIR workspace. Thank you all.
Thank you, Meredith.